which games are must bets for week 13 of the 2023 NFL season. What's going on, gridiron gamblers and BLVers? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL best bets versus the spread, this time for week 13 of the 2023 NFL season. In this video, I give you my favorite picks versus the spread with the intention of helping you make some money betting on the NFL this 2023 NFL season. But I have to be honest with you, I haven't been helping you make money the last couple of weeks. Maybe with the information, but my best bets have definitely not been at their best the last couple of weeks. A little unfortunate. Couple quarterbacks get injured during the games that we bet. It happens. The kick hits the upright to send the game to overtime. It happens. Sometimes you're 2-4 when you could have been 4-2. And that's exactly what happened last week. But, that doesn't mean we get discouraged. That doesn't mean we don't continue to roll with those punches and bounce back. So, let's go, man. Gronk spiked the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Mitch of TheBottomLineView. Let's have a great week 13. And let's kick off our best bets versus the spread in week 13 with pick number 1, which is the Atlanta Falcons -2.5 versus the New York Jets. And this line seems so good to be true that I feel like I shouldn't bet it. But if they're going to give it to me, I have to take it. I understand the Atlanta Falcons aren't exactly, I don't know, the 2016 Atlanta Falcons. But this is a decent football team that is probably in position to win their division. And they're playing Tim Boyle. And they're only -2.5. Like, you're going to give me Tim Boyle versus Jesse Bates -2.5? Are we sure about that? Now, here's the thing I have to say about the New York Jets. We can talk about how their offense is the worst in the NFL. We could talk about how their offense makes the Patriots offense look like the 2007 Patriots offense. Like, we could talk about the offensive line, their right tackle Mitchell, who couldn't block me. We could talk about how they can't run the ball, throw the ball. They don't have a receiver besides Garrett Wilson. We could go on and talk about that. But we could also just talk about the fact that, hey, this defense is a little overrated as well. And they're constantly gassed. And when you think about the Atlanta Falcons, what are they going to do against the Jets? Well, they're going to run the football. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to move the football in unconventional ways. They're not going to put Desmond Ridder in the gun and let him throw the ball all game against Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams up front. They're going to run the ball with Bijan Robinson, who's going to get his 4 to 5 yards per carry. The Jets are not very good at stopping the run, period, at any point in an NFL game. They are not that good against the run. They are great against the pass. Teams with great quarterbacks, that's why they've thrived. But teams that can run the ball and move the ball at 3-4 yards a clip and just eat the clock, and then the offense of the Jets gets on the field, they turn it over, short field, they punt constantly, they get little time of possession, the Jets defense gets just gassed, right? Throughout the game, the second half. That's where Atlanta's going to be able to win this game and cover this game. I think Atlanta will pace this game through their offense, through their rushing attack, and I think the offensive line is going to power their way to another victory. I think the Falcons are going to ride Bijan Robinson all the way to the playoffs, and I think it's going to continue this week versus the Jets. So, my first bet of week number 13, it's very simple. Fade Tim Boyle and fade an overrated, yes, I said it, Jets defense. The Falcons will win, the Falcons will cover. Next up, our second pick is the Washington Commanders +9.5 versus the Miami Dolphins. This one's very simple. I just think this is too many points for a good offense to be getting here, especially at home. Right? The Washington Commanders are at home. They're getting nearly double digits against a good but not great Miami team. And Miami really let the Jets stay in that game, which is also part of this handicap, right? So you have Sam Howell, you have Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, a good offense of Washington that can throw the ball, that can run the ball, that hits an odd screen every now and again. Sam Howell is the type of underdog quarterback, especially at home, that you want. He can extend plays, he can run, he can throw. No Jalen Phillips for the Dolphins defense now. So that's going to impact that pass rush. That would be really the strength against the Commanders. If the Dolphins are going to win and cover, it's because of that pass rush. Well, you take away their best pure pass rusher, that's going to hurt, right? So Howell is a feisty underdog. Rivera's teams have been feisty underdogs, including the fact that Jack Del Rio has been fired, which is going to fire up the defensive boys of the Commanders a little bit, I would think, or at least keep them on their toes and keep them alert for their careers moving forward. I do think that firing Jack Del Rio was the correct move. I also feel like Rivera should be next, but I do think firing any coach keeps a team motivated and alert and attentive. And I think that's what will happen in this game on defense. Washington's defense has not been very good. I'm not saying they're going to shut down Miami, but I do think that Tua will keep a team in the game. I mean, we saw it against the Jets. He threw not one, but 2 picks. I think one went for a touchdown. And sometimes he just makes 1 or 2 critical mistakes throughout a game. If you give Washington's offense 1 or 2 mistakes, they have a chance to win a shootout type of game. Miami has not been scoring the way that they were early in the year, especially on the road. So I just feel like if this game's a back and forth between 2 good offenses, I could see Washington really going toe-to-toe, possession for possession, throw for throw here, Howell versus Tua. And as long as Washington's defense plays with pride, I could see the Commanders easily covering this number. It just feels too high for a team that I think is good, but they're not an elite team. This is not the Niners. This is not the Cowboys. This is not the Eagles. This is not the Chiefs or the Ravens. So I just don't see the Dolphins in that class right now. Next up, the third best bet of week number 13. It is the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, sir. Biggest game of the week at Philadelphia, -2.5. Now, I've seen the number go up to 3. This is just a great spot for the Niners. It's a phenomenal spot for the San Francisco 49ers. First of all, they played on Thanksgiving. So they have 10 days to recover, to rest, and all that, to be prepared for an NFC Championship rematch. A rematch in which their game plan never actually got to see the light of day because Brock Purdy got hurt extremely early in that game. And through the words of Kyle Shanahan on down to Deebo Samuel, we have heard the 49ers express for over a year how they felt they were the better team and how they felt they would have lit up the Philadelphia defense in that game. Judging on what happened in the following game, the Super Bowl, I kind of believe that the Niners were onto something with their potential game plan with Brock Purdy in that game to throw the football against a weak Eagles secondary. And I believe that the number 1 offense in the NFL is the San Francisco 49ers. I believe that we saw the Chiefs run the ball on the Philadelphia Eagles. If there is a team that could both throw and run the ball against the Philadelphia Eagles, it would be the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, with their full team, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, when they've been in the lineup, they have dominated each and every opponent they have played, including the Dallas Cowboys to a degree that we have not seen any other team, including the Eagles, dominate the Dallas Cowboys. The Niners, when healthy, are the best team in the NFL. They have since added Chase Young, a guy that played on the Washington Commanders, a team that gave the Eagles fits over the years. I think that was an intentful move by the Niners, understanding their main competition in the NFC was the Eagles. Well, let's take a member of Washington that understands how to play this team and also plays well against this team. That's another element of it. There's so many layers to this for the Niners. They are the more motivated team in this spot. They are angry. They've circled this game, this spot for over a year. And this is a team that I just feel is better. They're more explosive on offense. They're way better coached on the offensive side of the football. The Eagles constantly go through stretches of poor play calling, lack of understanding of identity, and just lack of awareness at the beginning of the games. If the Niners are able to get up in this game early like the Bills did or like the Chiefs did, there's no chance the Eagles come back against San Francisco's pass rush. Because as good as the Bills or the Chiefs are, they are not anywhere near as talented or as well coached as the 49ers. And when you look at the pass rush of the 49ers, from Nick Bosa to Eric Armstead to Javon Hargrave, they have a deep pass rush that can withstand many plays ran on them. They have a deep rotation of a defensive line, just like Philadelphia. I just feel like the Niners will be able to move the ball. The Niners will be able to run or pass. They've got mismatches on the outside. George Kittle is going to have a big game as the Eagles are the worst team against tight ends in football. The Eagles have a really bad linebacker position. The Niners love to run the ball in work play action, which directly attacks the linebacker position of the Philadelphia Eagles. Shanahan has had a game plan in his back pocket. He's going to be able to equip himself with the tape we've seen from Buffalo, Kansas City, and Dallas, all these teams that have played the Eagles as of late that have had success against the Eagles defense. On the other side of the ball, once again, I think Charvarius Ward's a big physical corner that can take on A.J. Brown, and I actually think people are sleeping on the pass coverage as well of the Niners. We saw in that NFC Championship that the Eagles were not too successful throwing the ball in that game. It was really just the fact that the Niners had no quarterback. They had Christian McCaffrey at quarterback in the second half. So I think that the Niners come out and they make a statement in Philadelphia. I think that they are the best team in the league, and I'm going to back them against every team in this league. And I think this is a huge spot for a team like the Niners coming off of rest, coming off of revenge, and for Philadelphia playing 90 plays on defense against the Buffalo Bills. So give me the Niners, -2.5 is one of my best bets of the week. Now, if it's at 3, I still lean towards the Niners, but I would say that I would prefer a 2.5. And I think there'll be enough money coming in on the Eagles, seeing as how they have the best record in the league and things of that nature, that I think it will get to 2.5. But just wait it out and see how it plays. Okay. The next best bet of the week, we've got the Detroit Lions, -4 at the New Orleans Saints. Now, this one is a play on the Lions as well as the Niners having rest, but the Lions coming off of a loss on Thanksgiving. There's going to be more motivation in this spot. Dan Campbell has ties to the franchise of the New Orleans Saints. I think there will be emotion from the head coach. I think Dan Campbell has already told his players that he kind of messed up last week in the fourth down situations, in the fake punt call. I think Dan Campbell really is an emotional guy, and I think his team plays that way. And I think they're going to respond to their head coach in this spot. On top of that, this is a play of the Saints not being as good as people think, one. Number two, they're terrible on home field. They have yet to cover a home field spread. And number three, they're injured. Marshawn Lattimore is out. Cameron Jordan is hurt. Their entire receiving core is injured. Chris Olave has a concussion. Rashid Shaheed is injured. And Michael Thomas is on IR. Derek Carr is a disaster in the red zone. So even if the Saints move the ball against a bad Detroit defense, which is going to be tough without Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas, I don't know who they're throwing the ball to. Taysom Hill? He's not even a proper tight end. I don't know who they're throwing the ball to. So, and their run game's not good, and the Detroit's good against the run, so they can't really lean on the run game. It has to be through the air, and without receivers, it's not going to operate because the timing's going to be off. And then once you get to the red zone, Derek Carr is the worst red zone quarterback I've ever seen in my life. So I don't really think Detroit is going to be able to be matched by the Saints, even if the Saints move the ball like the Packers did. Once they get inside the 20, Carr is going to kick field goals. The Saints are going to kick field goals, and Detroit's going to score touchdowns. I think the Saints defense has been overrated the whole year, and without arguably two of their better players on top of Demario Davis, I think is also a little banged up. I think the Lions will be able to run the ball. I think the Lions will be able to set up their play action, play with tempo early on, and be able to air the ball out without Lattimore out there, because that's exactly what the Falcons did. Ritter looked good against the Saints secondary last week, which is concerning. So I like the Lions big time in a bounce back spot here. My next best bet for week number 13 is extremely ugly, but bear with me. I like the Carolina Panthers getting 5.5 points versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like it. Frank Reich was fired, and there's a fundamental thing inside me that says, just like as I did with the Raiders when they fired Josh McDaniels, bet the team that fires their coach. Bet the team that fires their coach. And I feel like the Panthers have been terrible all year, but this is a spot where they'll be motivated. They'll be up for this game. They'll be excited with a change in flavor offensively or a new voice to listen to defensively. They will be excited to play this game. And they know on the schedule right now that Tampa Bay is one of the few teams they can actually beat, right? And getting 5.5 points, that's insane. That's such an inflated number because nobody wants to bet the Carolina Panthers. But I'm telling you, if you want to make money in the NFL, sometimes you've got to bet games that don't make any sense, and you've got to bet teams that are absolutely putrid. And the Panthers have been absolutely putrid. But I do think that they've played good defense as of late, for the most part. I do think they've stayed in a lot of games. It's just been a matter of their offense not being able to execute. And Todd Bowles, I know him well. I think they'll stop the Panthers from running, but he's going to give you plenty of opportunities for Bryce Young to hit a big play down the field. And the Bucs secondary's beat up. Levante David, especially not playing last week, is huge for this defense. So I just feel like the Bucs have been like sliding. I think they've lost 5 of the last 6 games. They're injured. Mayfield's injured. I don't even know if he's going to be 100%. So the Panthers, this is an opportunity for them to pull out an upset. I could see it happening. I like the Panthers plus 5.5. The next best bet and final best bet for week number 13 is your Los Angeles Rams minus 3.5 at home versus the Cleveland Browns. This is another one based on injuries and based on how I feel the Rams are playing right now. Meanwhile, the Browns feel like they're slipping. So first of all, loved how the Rams showed up against the Cardinals last week, ran the ball down the throat of the Cardinals. We saw the Broncos actually kind of pace the game through their running game last week against Cleveland, and that's how they had success early. Similarly, I believe that Sean McVay will be able to put together a nice scripted play portion of this game early in the game, just like Sean Payton did, to gain his team the lead. And what I believe about Cleveland is if you can get the lead against them right now, 7, 10, nothing, you're going to win the game, honestly. Because I feel like if you can stay out of pure passing situations where you're dropping back and you're getting hit and strip sacked and intercepted and batted balls at the line of scrimmage, you're going to beat the Browns. And that's exactly what the Broncos did, right? They got an early lead thanks to Sean Payton's brilliance in the first quarter, scripting plays, Russ not turning it over, running the ball. I think the Rams can do something similar, especially considering they have a top 10, top 12 offense in the league, especially when everyone's healthy. They've got their running back. They've got their receivers. Kupp's healthy. Higbee, Nakua, right? The offensive lines looked a lot better as of late. I love the addition of Dotson at the guard position. And to me, Stafford looked great last week. 4 touchdowns on the day. I think as long as with a veteran quarterback, a veteran coach, a smart quarterback, a smart coach, they're going to be able to put together a couple drives early in this game, catch the Cleveland great defense off guard, and get a lead, which means that the Browns, with their terrible quarterback situation, going to have to pass the ball more than run it. Going to be behind in this game in game script. They're going to be chasing the game. And just as it happened with the Broncos, Stefanski will make a mistake in his play calling. The quarterback will make a mistake in his passing. And you'll get a turnover, you'll get a sack, you'll get a fumble. Something will happen for the Rams. And the Rams defense, very smart defense, very well schooled, always have a good game plan, and they don't really, allow you to score touchdowns in the red zone, especially when you're a bad quarterback. Like the Browns are going to. Browns might have Joe Flacco. If that's the case, Aaron Donald's going to eat his lunch. The Rams pass rush is underrated. And without their tackles, Cleveland's offensive line is really in trouble as well in any passing situation. They don't have their left tackle. They don't have their starting right tackle either. It's trouble for Cleveland. I think Cleveland's on the downward slope, and I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs because of it. Quarterback's injured. Tackles are injured. Denzel Ward's injured. Myles Garrett's injured. All these guys might not play in this game. Definitely the tackles and definitely Watson. But in terms of Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward didn't play last game. We saw Cortland Sutton benefit. That could be Cooper Kupp this week. And then if Myles Garrett doesn't play, forget about it. This is a must bet because Myles Garrett makes that defense run. So I love Stafford. I love McVay in this spot. I think they're really, really hitting their stride. I think they could make the playoffs. I really like the way they're playing on offense, on defense. And I think they're much better than people give them credit for right now when everyone's healthy and rolling. And that's what they are right now. So give me the Rams -3.5 as the final best bet for week number 13. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to head over to Patreon, guys. That's where you can get all my NFL bets each and every week. This time, week 13, but each and every week, only $3 a month. You guys could check it out. You can also just support me by giving you the content on the channel. If you don't even care about the bets, hey, it's $3 a month. If you like what I do on YouTube, if I entertain you in any sort of way or educate you in any sort of way, then head over to Patreon, man. Support me, support the BLV, and support the dream here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching this video. Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and good luck on your bets for week 13. Peace, guys.